And I'd like to welcome my guest, David Clarke. How you doing?
Yes, welcome. Yes, I'm here.
It's
Thank
lovely to see you. Now, well, I was sort of sitting at a table at the Gosport Music Festival, and all of a sudden, a friend of yours brought you up to me because he mentioned that you would be a great guest for my programme.
Oh, did he? I didn't realise that. That's good. I'm pleased about that.
That's good.
Well, I was there because the band Asylum Seekers were featuring there, and they're doing some... We collaborated, got together to do a punk rock opera called Borstal Boy, and they're a brilliant band.
That's right, yeah. That's good. And we had a good evening there, didn't we? But you mentioned that, the Borstal Boys. Now, what is your story to the point of coming to know the Lord, then? A little sort of overview of what life was like before and how it happened.
Yeah, the story Borstal Boy is because I and my brother were both Borstal Boys. We were not brought up religious in that sense. In fact, I thought Christianity was rubbish, was ridiculous, was for people that couldn't stand on their own 2 feet, for sissies, you know. And we were brought up in the north, in Oldham. My brother and I, being older than I, we moved to Watford. And although my mum did try to take us to church, we did go along, but I didn't take much in. It didn't mean anything to me. But all I can remember from church going there was one Easter Jesus was being crucified, and I thought to myself, well, if Jesus is who he is, who they say he is, then why doesn't he get down from that cross and jump on all his enemies? You know, and I thought if he was who he was, why couldn't he do it? Now, I didn't realise or learn, I didn't know the answer to that till 20 years later.
Right, yeah. And with that situation then, what was your sort of journey after that? You mentioned the Borstal Boys.
We moved from Watford to a village called Wilston, and we were bored, really, living in the village. And we come from sort of North London, really, and in a village, we got a motorbike, and he got his motorbike, and we started getting into trouble. My brother got in trouble with the wrong... Well, I say we got into trouble. He mixed with the wrong sort of people, but he was a wrong sort of person, because we had guns and knives and flick knives, all that you shouldn't have. He loved the air guns, my brother did, and he got sent to Borstal for beating some with the knuckle duster he made, and I was at the age of 14 years old, and my mother kept that from me. But I soon grew up in the same sort of way, got in trouble with the police. Brother came out of Borstal. He had 2 spells in detention centre, 1 spell in Borstal, then he came out of Borstal and I got in trouble with the police for stealing a motorbike, and then we got done for malicious wounding, carrying a firearm without a licence. I'd met Christian people, we was having a good time, we were mods, you know, we had a Lambret and a scooter, we eventually got a bubble car to get around, that was brilliant, but religion, and people that tried to tell me that religion or Christianity was good, I just thought they're crazy. I thought, how can they be enjoying their life? How can they enjoy life like we're doing unless they can get up to the things I was doing? I mean, I was told by people, you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't dance, you shouldn't watch the telly, you shouldn't go to the news. These are brethren, exclusive brethren, I think they were, but I thought, well, these are mad. Anyway, I had a bad experience on LSD. And so bad, I actually, for the second time in my life, I prayed. I cried out to the Lord. I said, Jesus, please help me. And he actually heard me cry. And that night, something happened to me. I turned around that day, and I knew I had to live I wanted to live a different way to the way I'd lived before, and I changed my life from that day forward. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute, but you prompt me.
Yes, what we're going to do, we're going to hear a song, and then we're going to tell you what David's going to tell you why we're playing this song. And it's called a fabulous track by... who's actually singing this?
The Bobby Fuller Four. But
That's
actually,
right.
This is Asylum Seekers, by the way.
That's right.
This is Asylum Seekers made this disc.
That's right. Here we go.
Breaking rocks in the hot sun. I fought the law and the low one. I fought the law and the low one. the law won. I fought the law and 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 the...
That's the Asylum Seekers, and I fought the law and the law won. And my guest is David Clarke, who did fight the law. And you come to know the Lord, you prayed and Jesus answered you. So what happened next? Because apparently you couldn't read
Yeah,
at
let
the
me
time.
tell you that.
Yes, you carry on.
Okay. When I was released from Borstal in 1968 or 9, I had a 3-year career of undetected crime. I didn't care for anybody but myself. I nicked loads of gear, cars, scooters, a garage which we stole from a building shed, 48 foot by 24. I used to ring cars. I had a brand new Mini at home, which I'd nicked from in Berkhamsted. Lovely blue car, G-registered Mini. We was cutting it up using the engine and the parts. Well, so really I was into crime and me drugs and me dope and all permissive sex a lot. We was living life, if you like, to the full. But I was never, ever satisfied. I couldn't get satisfaction. I couldn't get it. Just didn't ever fulfil me. So the point was, when I became a Christian, when I came overnight, I began to read. I had to learn to read. The difficulty was, when I was a youngster, was that I couldn't read properly. I was taught by a German teacher in 1954, soon after the war. My mother didn't like Germans. I wonder why. I don't know why, but the point was, I was from the north, and I spoke with a northern accent. You can't talk like that, can you, lad? And, of course, I couldn't understand the German. She couldn't understand me. I never learned to read. Hardly read at all. When I got sent to Borstal, I tried to read. I began to read books, did get on to books like Ian Fleming, Dr. No, because they were exciting stories. The things that James Bond books. I could read The Dandy and The Beano, but that was the best of my reading. When I became a Christian, I knew I needed to find out what life was about. And the religious people were all, I thought, crazy, right? So I had to read myself. So I learned myself to read, and in my reading that year, I must admit I had about four or five pages of foolscap paper with words, so I got to learn what they meant, okay? So I learned the essential the doctrines of the gospel, the truth of Christ, who he came to be. And it so happened that I was able then to go to the police and confessed to 24 crimes which I committed between leaving Dover Borstal and the 16th of January 1970. The day of my conversion, my life changed, and I followed as best I could the law, right? That's what made me read the Bible. Now, people need to read. Christians don't read, or very few people do. I question them about the doctrine. They're useless. Honestly, I'm having a go at you, right? You should read. Learn the doctrine, learn the gospel. You're set for the defence of the gospel. You can't defend anything you don't understand or know. So that's when, that was the newspaper cutting.
Yeah. That
right. Appeared. I was appeared in the newspaper next day.
That's right. I've got a new book here, and on the front cover it's the newspaper covering the Bucks Herald converted on LSD trip. So with that situation then, you were on quite a cocktail of drugs then with that situation.
Well, LSD's bad.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And you began to read.
Yes.
And through the reading,
yes.
Then,
yeah.
I'm getting to the point now where you found that Jesus did not stay on the cross.
Oh, you didn't know. I learned within 2 weeks why Jesus had to die.
Yeah.
He died to deliver me from my sins, to deliver me from hell, to deliver me from the judgment come. And I realised he did it for me and delivered many. He came to the world and to save sinners. That's what he came to do. And I learned why he died for me.
Yeah. And it's wonderful to know that one man can come and do that. And we are all sinners.
Absolutely.
Everyone is sinners.
Absolutely.
But Jesus came to give us a chance to turn around.
Yeah.
And how was it for you then with all the drugs and everything that your body went through and coming to know the Lord? How did you feel in that situation?
I wasn't a drug addict.
Right.
I was a sin addict.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
I was everything I saw nicked, everything I sex was on sex, drugs, dope, you name it, I wanted it.
Yeah.
But I knew that my lifestyle was wrong, and I determined, my conscience directed me as to how I should live and what I should do. And through reading the New Testament, I read it in 2 weeks, The Good News for Modern Man.
Right.
Now now I thought I understood it, but I didn't. Well, I understood the essential parts.
Yeah.
You know, it's good, very simple English, but I learned who Jesus was.
Yeah.
And I had to read more and more and more to find out the ins and outs of Christian stuff. Or religion, put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. And it's amazing, David, that you taught yourself to read then, at that point.
Yes.
But through that situation and up to this point, I know we're going to hear more in a moment, but you've written books.
Yeah.
And how did that begin in your life then, when you thought, well, I've got this gift to read, and I've got another gift.
Well, again, it's out of, you get a burden, you get a determination to do something, you get driven to do it. So with my particular case, I knew something had happened to me was special, and I kept notes of my experience of God and the things of God. And my brother, he carried on his lifestyle, a flamboyant lifestyle, because he was a lad older than me. He was a managing director of his own company called Tudor Charm in Milton Keynes. Everything he did was extremely perfect, brilliant. However, he went through a business breakdown. He went into liquidation, he went through a divorce, and he ended up going to Thailand. And in Thailand, he tried to start a business called Paradise Movies. The thing was, he got up to all sorts of tricks out there, and reports were in the news of the world of some of his antics. He then went on to the Philippines to start another company, which was to do with Paradise Express, he called himself. And he was arrested, sent to jail for 16 years. And when I got news of it, it shocked me. It was within 5 years of his sentence, he wrote to me to say he'd read C.S. Lewis's book, and he too had become a believer, become a Christian in the jail after his lifestyle. And I went out on a mission to him. But it was that moment when he wrote to me and he told me he had become a Christian, I decided I've got to write the story. That's why I wrote my book, Converted on LSD Trip, because it's telling the story of what Christ has done for me, what Jesus did for my brother, and we learned many others too.
Yeah. We'd have another song at that point. Now, what's this second track?
Right, this song is a little bit about... It's a funny song. It's not funny, it's good. I like the song. People think I can't sing. Well, I can't sing, but my daughter's going to sing it to you. It's one of the tracks called Mr. Very Guilty, and it's the scene setting of when I went to court to confess to the 24 crimes that I committed. Macy's going to sing it. Macy, come here, please.
Yeah. You go around.
Macy's 7 years old.
Right.
And she's a performing artist too. She's going to sing to the audience.
That's right.
Taken to the courthouse by the powers that be, and answered to the charges. I had to make a plea. Mr. Very Guilty took them by surprise, having no defense, set forth my demise. Made up my portfolio, listing all my crimes, and knew in my past history I was doing time. Told the court my teenage past, they recognised I bench. There was my silver girl, no love, they made no sense. She was now a magistrate, how would this all end? Once she was my sweetheart, I loved her to the end. Dirty John she gave me, sent round the bend. Off into the night I drove, my life was at an end. Very, very guilty, very sorry. Very, very guilty, unexpected.
Far more to my story, and was intent to tell. Stood before the court that day, told of my trip to hell. Told them all in detail about my life of crime. since leaving Dover, Borstal, 1969.
Well, that was well done, Maisie. Sorry about the beginning there, and didn't get you sorted out with the techniques probably. But this is live radio on 93.7 Express FM, and it's Terry in the building, and that was Maisie singing along. What was the track called again? I was trying to...
Mr. Very Guilty.
Mr. Very Guilty.
You can get it on YouTube, actually.
Right,
Go and type in Mr. Very Guilty. We've got a video.
That's brilliant. That's the Asylum Seekers.
Well,
Brilliant.
yeah, it's actually me singing, but we wanted the Asylum Seekers to sing it, but they're doing their own version of it.
Oh, right. That's good. That's good. And we're talking to David Clarke, who's had a wonderful tapestry life, which is started off with drugs and the like, but come to know the Lord when he prayed. So with that situation, then, David, we mentioned that you started to write books. And on your heart at the moment as well is you did dip into the situation with your brother, which we'll come back to. But on your heart at the moment, you've written some books, but you want to do, should we say, an opera? Is it? How can you explain?
Yeah, I can explain that to you. Really. When I came back from the Philippines, we did extensive work in the jails there, which we can talk about another time. But when I came back, I'd got another book I'd written called Trojan Warriors, which is about the lives of criminals that have been converted. But when I came back to England, I discovered that there was a real problem of drugs in Stubbington amongst young people. And I made some videos. And if you go onto YouTube, you'll find a drugs problem in Stubbington Village 1, 2 and 3, quite a range of it. And I realised these guys needed to know the way and needed to know my story. I felt it would be good to me to tell them the story. So to get this story out to people, it was through music. I thought was another medium. And I used to teach at Lefarron College. I taught electronics there for 12 years. And one of my students was Mike Fisher. He's the leader of the Asylum Seekers in Gosport. They're a very good band, the best punk band in... best punk rock cover band
in the UK.
I'm not going to be very. I'm not in Hampshire, shall I say?
Yeah, right.
There is another good band. I'm going to plug them here called Night of Trees, and they're very good. But this is a punk rock cover band, right? And Mike Fisher is their leader. We've done a bit of music before, and I approached him. Could he help me put my story, convert it on LSD trip, to an opera, as a punk rock opera, and that's what we're working on.
Right, yeah. But you're hoping to take this into special places, aren't you?
Well, because of my background and history and what I know and what we've done, we've wore the T-shirt, we've done it, we know that it's imperative to get people to read and learn for themselves. So I felt the good idea would be to take this opera to Winchester Nick, Winchester Prison. And in order to do that, I've been in touch with Caroline Dinenage, the MP for Gosport and Stubbington. Also, we've got an appointment with Mark Hoban in Fareham on the 23rd of September. And also, I think it's Steve Bryan, is the MP for Winchester, who has asked us to go through Mark Hoban. We've also written to the prison. And I've also sent a copy of my book to Prince Charles too, to tell him what we're doing.
Yeah, and you have received copies back.
I've got letters from Prince Charles to encourage us in the work we're doing.
That's right, yeah.
So we hope to get into Winchester Nick.
Yeah.
But not only that, Caroline Dyer suggested to me that she'll put me in touch with the senior man, the MP for prisons, which is Jeremy, whatever his name is, I think of his name, Jeremy Wright, the MP, to get it. Right, we'd like to get it. We'd like to not only perform in Winchester Nick, we'll perform in every prison in the UK if necessary.
Yeah,
but we want to get the story out. To people that can't read, Well, help them read. Give them something to read. Dr. No's book, there's James Bond, are good to read, but you need a good story. But mine's a true story. Yeah. It's not like Pete Townshend's book or his opera, you know, Tommy, right? That's not a real character. My story's real. Yeah. And it's real about what Christ has done for me, and for many he will do. And we hope to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and with your music then, and the Asylum singers, what was your link to that? Were you in music before? Or?
Well, yeah, in the 60s I was in our own pop band, right, a rock band. Yeah. We were called the Asylum, and we did songs. We loved the Rolling Stones. We loved not some of the Beatles stuff. I like the Beatles, but there wasn't real rock stuff.
Wasn't your rocky?
No, but the Stones. The Small Faces, the Kinks, and we did all the range of blues stuff. And you can go to YouTube and go to the playlist called The Foul Mean, and you'll see one of our playlists.
Yeah, yeah. So can we link back to the story of your brother now, then, in the Philippines?
Yeah. My brother was sent to jail in 1996. And I was shocked initially because of the nature of the crime. You'd have to read the book to find about that, okay?
Yeah,
right, okay. Yeah. But he actually died of tuberculosis in the jail.
Yeah.
When I went out there a year later, after he told me of his conversion, we worked extensively with criminals in the jail, in New Bilibid prison, the maximum security prison, the largest prison in the Far East. And as a result of our first mission, we had 5 weeks preaching, not only in New Bilibid prison, but the other jails of the Philippines. And Monica Karani, a Filipino pastor out there, took me to Angeles City Jail, and we preached there. There's a YouTube video about that. But he's rang me today, that guy. He wants to come to England to do work in our jails here. However, as a result of that, I wrote the second book, which is called Trojan Warriors, and it contains the story of our mission to the Philippines. It also contains 66 testimonies of converted criminals. Some 22 are on death row that have, in fact, as a result of hearing the word of God, turning their lives round. And we actually appointed one of these guys. He killed a policeman. He got his leg blown off, called William Pollock. He's built 2 churches in his own city now. We sent him back to his city, paid him 6 months' money to support him. He's got an extensive prison ministry in Baguio City and Benguet Provincial Jail. He's got 2 churches, a theological training institute there. Again, you can go and see his work. All the result of what Christ has done for him.
Yeah, wonderful.
You know, God is working in people's lives, right. You know. But people can laugh and jeer. But I will speak to the most notorious, outrageous, I don't care who they are, I know what Christ has done for me, and he can do for them. Right, he can do. Yeah. And even Dave Courtney, when I came back from the Philippines, I went to see Dave Courtney, right? If you know Dave Courtney, he knows who I am. He keeps me at arm's length a little bit because he's a bit embarrassed about the religious side. But Dave Courtney's a likeable guy. We encourage him to do his work, but we're trying to help him see the light, as you were, you know, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah. David, do you believe that what you went through in your early years, that the Lord was with you, you knew of God, do you believe now that he put you through that, in all those connections that you made, to do what you're doing now? It was a gift that God was
I believe
nurturing.
You're the first person that's ever put that to me, okay? I believe you're absolutely right. The Apostle Paul said he was separated unto the gospel from his mother's womb. When was he called to preach? Years later,
that's
right? So God has a purpose for every one of us, okay?
Right,
everything that happens to you, right, has a purpose. Now, you seek God now, you seek the Lord now, and you will discover that purpose. When you believe him and trust his word, you'll realise that God is in everything you do.
Yeah.
We're responsible for all we do and say, but we're responsible for the way we react to the gospel.
Yeah.
We should listen and build your house on a firm foundation, not on sifty sand.
That's right. Yeah. You mentioned you want to mention a few people.
Well, I just want to say hello to those in Korea, hello to those in Philippines, hello to those in Vietnam. Isaac, can you hear me? And those in the UK. Those of you in Aylesbury Bucks, you know, and all those in Gosport, all those in Stubbington, those in Southampton, Fareham, you know, give us an email and I'll keep you up to date.
That's right, that's brilliant. What we're going to do, we're going to hear another track now, and then we'll find out how you can get in contact with David and what he's up to as well. And maybe with this final track, can you explain again what this is all about?
Do you want me to give the title of it?
Track 3, yes.
Right, track 3 is called Borstal Breakout. Now, the reason why we're using this is because I broke out of my Borstal condition, okay, and now I'm completely free. And, we're using metaphors to express real-life experience, and that was what our punk rock opera is all about. It's a 17-track punk rock opera using songs, real-track songs, metaphors to tell a story. So, Borstal Breakout.
Brilliant. Just a fabulous track there. That's the Asylum Seekers again. And it was linked with my guest, David Clarke, this evening, who's told his story about his early life, how he come to know the Lord, and that he couldn't read either. But he's written... How many books have you put together now then, David?
7.
Wonderful. And you are, like you say, you're talking about the opera, and also you're talking about hopefully getting books into prisons. And how do people actually acquire your book? How can people acquire your books?
You can directly from me or go to our website. I'll give you the website now. It's www.trojanhorseinternational.com.
My number 074 11 99 0007.
That's brilliant. And it was fabulous to meet you. It was a situation where we were just on the same field at the same place. And so your vision now is, like you say, to go into prisons with hopefully getting the opera together, and also some prisons want copies of your books.
Yeah, I've had my book went out to 30 prison chaplains, and I've had a request for 400 copies of my book from HMP Belmarsh, HMP Parkhurst, HMP Risley and HMP Manchester. And of course we'll have to fund that somehow, but we want to get the story into the jails, and we'll send the book somehow.
Yeah.
Now, the vision, you asked me.
That's right, the vision, yes.
The Asylum Seekers and their music are a brilliant band. We want this opera to be performed in other venues too. We're open to invites to go to pubs, clubs, youth clubs, you name it, we'll go there.
Yeah.
And I've also contacted Chichester Theatre Festival with a suggestion that we could get some dramatic artists to perform it on stage with the Asylum Seekers themselves doing the music for a dramatic an enactment of my story converted on LSD.
Yeah.
We hope to make it universal, all over the place, really. It's worth telling, the story.
Oh, it certainly is. And God's in it. I know.
Well, I believe so,
you're
absolutely.
It's going to be done, and your vision will come to fruition.
And can I just say this? The Asylum Seekers are going to produce their own single called Borstal Boy to head this DVD musical album, which will be available when we record it, God willing, in the jails.
That'd be brilliant. I'll have to get the Asylum Seekers in here on my other programme.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And have a chat with them. That would be brilliant. So, David Clarke then, so you say that is your vision, and because I normally say to people, what's next for you? Well, that is what your next isn't it?
The vision and the intention and the motive is the story which I have to tell will be told.
Yeah.
And through music, it's a great method, and I'm open to criticism, to invites, to questions. Write to me, email me, have a go at me, talk to me, because I really believe what I have to say is worth telling.
That's right. It's a rock that you can set your life upon.
Foundation to build your life on.
Good foundation. Well, God bless you and your wife, and also your lovely children as well, and hopefully meet you again. A fabulous track we've got lined up for you now, and it's Stuart Townend and My First Love.
Night I will sing your praise, my love. In the morning I'll seek your face, my love. Like a child I will dance in your presence. Oh, let the joy of heaven pour down on me. Still remember the first day I met you, and I don't ever want to lose that fire, first love. Draw from your well of life, my love. In your grace I'll be satisfied, my love. Like a child I will dance in your presence. Oh, let the joy of heaven pour down on me. Still remember the first day I met you, and I don't ever want to lose that fire. Like a child I will dance in your presence. Oh, let the joy of heaven pour down on me. Still remember the first day I met you, and I don't ever want to lose that fire. My first love, my first love, my first love. Restore the years of the church's slumber. Revive the fire that has grown so dim. Renew the love of those first encounters, that we may come alive again. That we may come alive again. We will rise like the dawn throughout the earth. till the trumpet announces your return. Like a child, I will dance in your presence. Oh, let the joy of heaven pour down on me. Still remember the first day I met you, and I don't ever want to lose that fight. Like a child, I will dance in your presence. Oh, let the joy of heaven pour down on me. Still remember the first day I met you, and I don't ever want to lose that fight. My first love, 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 my first
Stuart Townend and My First Love on 93.7 Express FM, and he's actually touring with Philippa Hanna. I'll let you know the situation in a short while about that, and I've got a track from Philippa Hanna in a short while as well. And if you want to find out more about the Borstal Boy and the punk rock opera by the Asylum Seekers and with David Clarke, then please go onto the website, which is www.trojanhorseinternational.com, or you can call him on 07411999307. So, and a fabulous story. He's a wonderful guy, and it wasn't a mistake when I bumped into him at the Gosfest over there in Gosport a couple of weeks ago.